What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dudes Who Bet Daily, November 30th, 2022. I can't believe it is almost December, Aaron. Kind of crazy that we're almost in the last month of the year so quickly.
Be right back, guys. Be right back.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, it is. It is crazy. It is almost December. We've got one more day left in November. And it's nuts, man. And you know what that means for racing? That means the Derby season's basically here. And I think that is the coolest thing of all. I feel like the Kentucky Jockey Club is kind of the unofficial kickoff. I know they have races before that, but it feels like that kind of gets us reset into the new year.
Yeah, it felt like we just had our weeks off, right? And now it's about to come at us here, starting with Cigar Mile this weekend over at Aqueduct. You got the championships meet coming back. You're going to start to see prep races run here at Tampa Bay Downs here in December. So you start to get that build up into the new season, which I know is something you're very excited about. Personally, this 2-year-old crop that's going to be 3 next year is phenomenal. I mean, if you compare it to last year, what we looked at after the Breeders' Cup to what we have this year, it is night and day, the number of horses that we have that I think are quality horses already this early in the cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of them. And you're right. You know, we do a fantasy draft and you kind of said it. Last year, it's like, okay, we knew the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And then everybody was just kind of drawing at straws. This year, I feel like it's a very deep crop. Another thing that has kind of caught my attention is I do a Kentucky Derby top 5 every week, starting 2 weeks ago and go through. And last year I was like, I don't really believe any of these horses are actually going to be there, but I don't know who else to put in the top 5. Where now it's like I've got 10 horses I could put in this top 5 at this moment that I actually am kind of confident in, as long as they don't get injured, and you never know that I'm kind of confident in can go down the road and really do nice things and be right there. So it's fun. We've got trainers that are loaded. You've talked about Bob Baffert and how loaded he looks. Magic and I've been talking about Brad Cox. Looks like he's really loaded. Asmussen's got some real monsters he's unleashed. It looks like the heavy hitters are there this year, and they've got the big-time horses.
You didn't even mention Todd Pletcher, who currently has your Derby favorite in Forte. So it's just a phenomenal year for the Derby preps. Looking forward to getting those going. But right now, the biggest thing going on in sports, or at least college sports, I would say, Papa Dude, is this college football playoff. We're now 1 week away from the final rankings coming out. No real surprise in the top 4. But chaos could really ensue here if either TCU or USC goes down this weekend. Both short favorites. I think it's 2.5 and 3 right now as we release the show. And that's going to set up for a question of whether or not you have one-loss Ohio State, who got rolled by Michigan. And we all were texting back and forth during that game saying they look pretty fraudulent. And 2-loss Alabama, who could have 5 losses. But that's going to be the question here if either of these teams go down. So, Papa Dude, I'll kick it to you first. Who's more likely to lose, USC or TCU this weekend?
I'm going to say TCU. I just think USC is a little better than they are because of the quarterback situation. Even though the TCU quarterback has played extremely well, it pains me to say this, but the USC quarterback is dynamic, and he can win a game on his own. I don't think there's any drama involving the top 2. I think even if they lose, they're in. Would you guys agree with that? Yeah, I think they're safe.
As long as Michigan doesn't get blown out. If they lose by like 28, I think then we have a question mark here.
Well, especially when the opponent is who they are playing and they get blown out. If Purdue kills Michigan, yes. But how are you going to take an Ohio State over Michigan when Michigan beat the tar out of them? That's the other thing.
Yep.
And the Georgia opponent, LSU, has a name, and they're much better than Purdue. And it wouldn't be a horrible loss to LSU, but, well, first of all, it ain't going to happen. So there isn't any reason to even talk about it. So the whole key to this thing is, like you said, if TCU and USC falls, I think they would have to take Ohio State. Now, if both of them fall, I don't know what's going to happen, but they'll have to take Ohio State. And then I would think they would take a one-loss TCU over Alabama. Now, let me rephrase that. That's what they should do. That's what they should do. That's probably not what they will do, because this Alabama team is not as good as they've been. There's no way that they are.
Yeah, ESPN ran is the dynasty over for Alabama already, which may be a little bit premature to throw some dirt on that program. But we'll leave that to ESPN and the hot take section there. I think USC is more likely to lose simply because I think Utah is way better than Kansas State is. I think the opponent is simply tougher for USC in this spot. And I think you take Bama if one of these two teams go down.
Probably.
I would rather see Bama in that playoff than Ohio State, who I think is an absolute fraud as a top 5 team. I think Bama, like, you look at the playoff, and the thing that jumped out to me, Aaron, how does Georgia lose? Like, I don't see how they don't win the title, right?
Seems pretty cut and dry, doesn't it? It seems like they're just way better than everybody else. I will say a team like USC might be able to solve that defense. And if you can score a lot of points on Georgia, you've got a shot. Now, the point of the whole thing is not hardly anybody can score on them enough to beat them. Right. We saw a Tennessee team go into Georgia that was as hot as you could be offensively and got 13 points on them, right? So this USC team, yeah, they look great and they're scoring points and they do look amazing. But what will happen when they go up against the Georgia team, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, Georgia looks absolutely, unbeatable. Well, not unbeatable, but they look very, very unlikely to lose right now. The team that has got to be sitting at home today, just absolutely kicking themselves, is that team I mentioned, Tennessee.
Oh, definitely.
They're a shoe-in for this thing if they don't get beat to South Carolina. And now they've got them ranked below an Alabama team, even though they have the same record and they beat Alabama. So that just shows you what that loss did. I mean, you can debate if that's right or wrong, but that's what it is. And that's what the fact of the matter is right now. God, I'm with you, Somich. I don't want to see Ohio State anywhere close to this thing.
I don't either.
I think the way they ranked them, though, guys, Ohio State's the one that's going to benefit from a loss for USC or TCU.
Right.
You have to think that.
Yeah, I would agree. It's probably Ohio State based on the rankings, but man, would it be fun if they flipped them for no reason. Neither team plays. But you look at it, I mean, Ohio State got embarrassed by Michigan physically in the second half. Just
they did.
And Alabama's lost 2 games in the final plays on the road to top 10, 11 teams. I mean, to me, the Bama resume is better when the eye test really was not impressive in that Michigan-Ohio State game.
But if only one of them loses and they flip Alabama over Ohio State,
this could be a shit show.
This ranking doesn't mean a damn thing, does it? No. It doesn't mean anything if that's what would happen, because neither Ohio State or Alabama is going to play another game. So what difference does it make with these rankings the way they are?
Well, for argument's sake, honestly, the rankings are absolutely meaningless until the next one that comes out.
That's
the
true.
Last one's the only one that means anything. I mean, all the rest are just ways to hype up the season and try and get people excited about these games.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, let's head over to the NFL, where I think you got an interesting situation developing here in the NFC North. We've got 2 teams that I don't think should play their quarterbacks for a single snap the rest of the year that I want to talk about a little bit. First off, let's start with the Green Bay Packers. Aaron, can you give me a reason why Aaron Rodgers should play another snap?
No, I can't give you one.
It should be done for him, right? I mean, you saw him get injured in the primetime game we had last weekend with the Eagles. Jordan Love comes in, plays well, but you kind of need to figure out what you have with Jordan Love. And you kind of want to lose now, right, Papa Dude? I mean, you want a higher draft pick, so why would you play Aaron Rodgers?
Well, and don't you have to find out if this kid can play?
Yeah.
What's he been up there now? 3 years and maybe played 1 game?
Yeah.
The only reason that I could see that they would play Rodgers is they're paying him so damn much money. They might think, oh, God, we're paying him this money. We might as well get something out of it. That's the only reason I can think. Now, how hurt is he? That's going to factor into this too.
It probably will, but I don't think it should. I mean, this is one of those situations where I just leave
I agree.
And then see, like, you look at what Denver did, what they gave up for Russell Wilson.
Yes.
I mean, what do you think you get for Aaron Rodgers in the offseason here? If Jordan Love turns out to be decent, or if you want to trade Jordan Love for something, you got to get him some playing time here to figure out what you got there. So,
yeah, because what you got is, if they sit Rodgers, he's done in Green Bay. Would we not agree with that? They will have to get rid of him unless he's injured, and they can use that as an excuse.
His interviews on the Patrick McPhee show on Tuesday would become must-watch TV if he gets benched.
Okay.
He would absolutely light some people up inside that organization. We already know how upset he was last year. I can't imagine what this would do, especially if Jordan Love has some success. And I kind of like the Packers with Jordan Love, because I think they actually will play a little harder for Jordan Love. I think that team likes him more than they like Aaron Rodgers at this point.
Probably. Yeah.
The other quarterback in the division, Justin Fields, gets hurt 2 weeks ago. He's looked like a QB1, Aaron. And I don't really love admitting that, because I didn't love him coming out of college. I didn't think he was going to be the best quarterback out of that draft, and it sure seems like he is right now. He and Trevor Lawrence probably fighting for that spot. Why would the Bears play him another snap now? If he's got a shoulder injury at all, why would you put him back in there?
Yeah, there's no reason. They're completely out of it. You're right. He got kind of hot, and they started really moving the ball and doing a good job. Now, unfortunately, the flip side is they could not stop anybody or anything, but they could have won 3 or 4 games in a row if they had any defense whatsoever. I would put him on the shelf. And another thing he kind of showed me, even though they were down and out and not playing very well, man, did he stick in there and play hard and really acted invested and that he cared, which obviously you should, but we just don't see that a ton, with teams when they start losing. He did. And so I'm with you. I wouldn't risk him for anything. I mean, if he is 1,000% healthy, maybe I'd put him in, but I don't think I would. Save him for next year. Try to get some pieces around him. I think this could be a decent team if they could get somebody around him. He, like you said, he has shown he cares. He can be dynamic, and he can put up points. They did put up points for about a 4 or 5 game stretch there.
And Papa Dude, that leads me to my last question here. If you got offered both GM jobs, which do you take, the Packers or the Bears?
Well, I'd have to take the Packers because of the tradition. They know how to win. To me, is Aaron Rodgers meant that much? Is that why they've won so many games over the years? Now, it could be. It could be. So you think, okay, we're not going to have him. It's going to be hard to rebuild this. There's going to be more pressure on you in Green Bay. And you've got to get a quarterback. You have to. So you got to kind of weigh both sides of it. I think you got to take the Green Bay one simply because everybody knows who the Green Bay Packers are. And to me, that's a more prestigious job. It may be an easier job in Chicago, though.
I think it's an easier job in Chicago. I take the Bears job simply because you have QB1. That's the one thing you're looking for the most in the NFL.
You already got your quarterback. Yeah.
And you got Fields. So, Aaron, break the tie here. Which job would you take, Green Bay or Chicago?
Green Bay's the job. If you're a little kid, you probably dream of having that job. But I'm with you. I know Jordan Love's not QB1. I've seen enough of that already.
Right.
He's not. So, if you're very confident in your abilities to go get a quarterback, maybe you try to not win a game next year and then get Caleb Williams out of USC, But right now the Bears, they do have that quarterback in place, and that is 80% of the battle in the NFL.
I got a question.
Okay.
For you guys. Okay. Did Green Bay screw up by bringing Aaron Rodgers back at the age he was to try to win another Super Bowl? Was that a bad deal? Could they have gotten rid of him a couple of years ago, got something for him?
I think the contract is the biggest problem.
That's what I mean. Yes.
The signing him to that big of a deal cost you Devontae Adams, which cost you a shot at the Super Bowl. You had to have some type of dynamic wide receiver option for Aaron Rodgers, or else he gets cranky and then starts playing like he's been playing and unmotivated. Absolutely. And so my answer, hell yeah, you should have traded him. Because just look at what you got. Seattle's going to have the number 2 pick in the draft. That's where Denver would be drafting right now. And that's going to be Seattle's pick because of this trade with Russell Wilson.
Absolutely.
You could have gotten a king's ransom for Denver.
Yeah. And you got – that's me. Hang on.
You could have gotten a king's ransom from Denver comparatively to what you got for Russell Wilson in Seattle. So I would have traded him last offseason, if not 2 off seasons ago, if you could have.
Let's see if he's back.
I am.
No music. All right. Listen, we just talked about how important it is to have QB1. So it's tough, right? You needed to do something to where it's like, listen, we're going to sign you. We want to keep you, but you have to have other players. And then if you can't get him to agree to something like that, then you get rid of him. It's a little bit more complicated than just yes or no. We don't know. We can only assume what this guy's like. He's a weird guy. I mean, I think
he is.
It's been documented, man. It's a weird guy that, Deshaun Kaiser, he had an interview out and he said the first time I met Aaron Rodgers, the first thing he said, I didn't know him, never talked to him. He said, hey, do you believe in 9/11? And he was like, what?
He said?
And he goes,
yeah,
you should look up on that. You should do your research on that. And it's like, this is a weird guy. Like maybe if you know that guy for a while, you do maybe ask that question. That's not the first thing I'm asking somebody I just met. I mean, that's weird.
The stories about what he does with some of the rookie quarterbacks is kind of crazy too. They have trivia in the quarterback room so that he can show off about how smart he is. Like there's just some things that come out that make you like, yeah, I don't know if this guy's a good hang. Just not sure. I don't know if I'd want to have a beer with Aaron Rodgers. Just saying.
He's a strange dude, and because now, yeah, somebody will take him for sure, but Green Bay's going to have to pay some of that salary, I would think, wouldn't you?
There are some desperate teams all over the place for a
They are.
And Aaron Rodgers is less than a year removed from back-to-back MVPs. I'm sure. I think he also will probably become more motivated if he gets traded. You might get a better version of Aaron Rodgers if he gets shipped out of town. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there with him and kind of where Green Bay is able to go from this. But either way, Rodgers and Fields should not take a snap for the rest of the season. They both want better draft picks now. Figure out what you got in Jordan Love. Don't risk Justin Fields. Get a higher draft pick and move along. All right, let's head over to the hardwood. I guess there's two major sporting events today, I would say, if you're looking at the marquee stuff. The World Cup, which my best bet's going to come from, so we'll talk about that at the end of the show. And then you got the Big Ten ACC Challenge, which kicks off today as well. And we're going to get to see some of these major top 5 conferences face off. And what I would call some pretty marquee games here. We'll start out right down the road from me here in Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. You've got number 25, Ohio State, heading into number 17, Duke. Duke's got a couple losses, one to Purdue, one to Kansas. Purdue back-to-back top 10 wins, so that doesn't look nearly as bad. And the Kansas lost a close game early in the season. But Duke's just shooting 29% from three, one of the worst percentages in the country here, Papa Dude. John Shire already getting some slack about being the coach here after Krzyzewski leaves, which I think is a little too early to say it's a good or bad thing. What do you do here with this early game in the ACC Big Ten Challenge here? I think it's Duke's 5.5 right now, last I saw.
Well, these early season games are so tough to figure out because you got these high marquee teams, and these are just resume builders more than anything else. And if you get beat, they don't hold it against you. Now, if you're kind of a in-between team like Oklahoma in basketball, this is a big deal to you. But the loser of this gets on a roll and goes on, they're going to be fine for the NCAA tournament, which is all these teams are playing for anyway. So when you get these kind of teams, they're building. They're trying to figure out what do we need to do. So they haven't found it yet. They haven't. Neither one of these have found their deal. So you got to look basically on these things. I go with the home court most of the time. I think you have to. I looked at the records. The best win Ohio State has is a win over Texas Tech, and that's a good team, and they did beat them. But they got drilled by San Diego State, which is an in-between team. So you got to look at that. Duke's best win, they don't really have one. I mean, Xavier's good. They're always good, but that's their best win, and they're not as good as they have been. And then you said those two losses, and those are two marquee teams. The pressure is going to continue to build on the new coach. He's got one of the toughest jobs there is. To succeed a legend or to take the place of a legend is almost impossible. So I'm going to go with Duke, but I don't think they cover. I think it's going to be closer than the 5.5, but I think they win because of the home court.
Yeah, I think Rob brings up a good point here. It could be a high-scoring game. I think that favors Ohio State, who's been able to fill the basket a little bit better than Duke has. I would lean toward Ohio State plus the 5.5 here. Aaron, any thoughts on this Duke-Ohio State game?
I think the game being at Duke is very, very important. I just think a team like Ohio State coming into Duke, that place is going to be nuts. It's an early season game. I could kind of see an ambush tonight. I'm going to go with the Blue Devils. I think they do cover tonight.
It's a blast to go to Cameron Indoor. If you've never been or if you ever get the opportunity to, make sure you go check out a game there. It's a ton of fun, even if you hate the Blue Devils, which I know a lot of people do. All right, let's move on to the other matchup between top 25 teams. Number 18, North Carolina, who's taken an absolute free fall from number 1, heads end to number 10, Indiana here, who's undefeated at home. Indiana laying 4, total sitting at 148. Aaron, go to you first here. Who do you like, Indiana, North Carolina?
I'm going to take North Carolina plus the 4. I think they're going to be a little bit more of a desperate team than Indiana. I also think their schedule obviously has been much tougher. They lost to Iowa State. Iowa State's a good program. They lost in 4 overtimes to Alabama. Alabama is very good this year as well. I think the strength of schedule clearly favors North Carolina. I know that I just said, hey, you go into Duke and it's tough. Well, going into Indiana is going to be tough as well. They're going to be ready for this game for sure. I think it's going to be like a 2-point game, one way or the other. So if I think that, I've got to take the points with North Carolina. I think they come in a desperate team tonight to get a win. So I'm going to go North Carolina plus the 4 in this situation.
Good pick. Give me those 4 points, too. I like the dogs in both these first 2 games. Papa Dude, Indiana, North Carolina. What are your thoughts?
Everything Aaron said makes complete sense. I'm going to revert back a little bit to North Carolina last year. It took them a long time to get going. The 4 overtime game was Sunday, I believe. I watched that. It was a classic. How much did that take out of them? I don't know. It could. They've had a couple of days to recover, but they're going to a tough place. He's absolutely right. They played a much tougher schedule. Indiana's best win, Xavier. Don't have anybody else. He's right.
Getting beat up on.
This poor Xavier bunch.
Yeah, I'm saying Xavier doesn't strike the fear of God in you, even when they're really good, right? They don't. I mean, they're a great program. They'll be in the tournament probably, but that's a good win, not a great win. So I'm going to lean the other way. I'm going to take Indiana to cover.
I like it. I like it when the Halterman crew here disagrees on a game. All right, last game I think is interesting here. You got 5-2 Michigan State, number 20 in the nation, heading into 5-1 Notre Dame. Neither of these teams have played a road game yet, which I think is kind of interesting considering we're 6 and 7 games into the season. Michigan State, a 2.5-point favorite on the road for the first time. Papa Dude, you taking the Irish? You're going with the Spartans here.
Well, you talk about a difference in schedules that these two teams have played. I don't know if you guys had time to look at them, but Michigan State has been in 2, I believe, power pack tournaments, big time names. They've lost to Alabama and they've lost to Gonzaga. Most of them, both games pretty close. They have wins over Kentucky. They have wins over Villanova, which is struggling badly right now. And they beat a fairly good Oregon team, and that was at Oregon. So Notre Dame has nothing, no good wins. They lost to St. Bonaventure, another program. Yeah, they're okay. They might make the tournament. They might not. That's their loss. Michigan State all the way tonight.
I agree. I like the battle-tested Michigan State team. I love what they do early in the season here. I think it really helps them out later in the tournament season, playing in all these big-time tournaments and having this really tough schedule early. Aaron, Michigan State, Notre Dame, what are your thoughts here?
Michigan State, big win for Michigan State.
Where we go. Consensus on Michigan State after we split the first 2 games. Going to be fun to have this ACC Big Ten Challenge back. It'll be the first time I watch college basketball all year. So it's we no longer. I got to say, why is the MAC championship not on a Wednesday? What are we doing?
I know.
That's right.
Come on, guys. There's nothing going on tonight. You could totally have this window yourself.
Absolutely.
All season, you crush it with Tuesday, Wednesday games. You completely miss the ball with the MAC championship, which should be going on today, but is not.
Totally agree.
Head over to the ice. We got a pretty limited schedule here. Let's talk a little bit about the Sabres heading into Detroit. Not exactly a marquee game, but really it's the best game on the schedule. So that's where we're headed here. Detroit minus 135 at home. The Sabres have been frisky, Aaron. They like to put up some points. We got Tage Thompson and ex-Blues who had some absolute highlight reel goals. What do you think here with Buffalo heading into Detroit?
Oh, this one I debated for a long time. I picked Detroit because it seems like, I don't know, Buffalo, every time I think, okay, they're going to get on a roll and they lose a couple. Detroit, they started off pretty good. I don't like how they played the last 5 games, let's say. I picked Detroit. I'm not confident either way. This is a tough one. The Sabres at plus money makes sense, but they have lost a couple, like I said, in a row here. I took Detroit. I'm not confident. I think we're going to go over that 6.5 goal total.
I agree. I think that's the bet. I like the over here too. These are 2 teams that like to fill the net up with, I would say, not stellar goaltending. So give me the over 6.5 here. Papa Dude, what'd you think about this Detroit-Buffalo matchup?
Well, I keep waiting for Detroit to kind of bottom out, and they keep winning enough to stay where they're at. They're in the playoffs right at the moment. They're 11-6-4. I know a team that plays 250 miles west of me or east of me that would love to be 11-6-4. So they've done what they're supposed to do. Buffalo, like you say, is up and down, and you're right. They can score goals. So I'm going with Detroit. I think they're going to win it, maybe 5-4, though. I
got to give a hat tip. We're talking about high-scoring games. Last night, 17 goals.
Oh, yeah.
Seattle and the Los Angeles Kings. I can't remember the last time an NHL game had 17 goals. I literally cannot remember the last time I seen that total.
9-8. I saw that score about well over.
I went to bed. I was watching it. I fell asleep, and it was 4-3, I think. But it was like early second period because it starts pretty late for us. And I woke up and I was like, "Really, 9-8? God, I wish I would have stayed awake for that."
Never seen
8-goal second period. The Kings erased a 2-goal deficit. They were down 8-6 going into the third. Seattle moves to 14, 5-3 on the season with the overtime win. The Kraken just playing their Kraken off here and then getting the job done. So they wanted to at least give them a shout out there just because that was such a wild score.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot.
I'm upset I didn't watch that game. That would be a fun game to watch as well. And Matty Bernier's probably going to be your rookie of the year. He's playing phenomenal for Seattle right now. Let's head over to the NBA here. We got one marquee game tonight. The 76ers headed into Cleveland. Cavaliers laying 3.5 at home. The total sitting at 210.5 right now. I'm just going to ride this Cleveland home thing until it bucks me. I like the Cavs here laying the 3.5 at home. Papa, what are your thoughts?
I would agree with you. The Sixers have been winning some games. Is Embiid back tonight? Have you heard?
I saw him as questionable. I haven't heard officially if he's in.
Okay. They've been winning some games without him. I think this is when, if he doesn't play, I don't think they're good enough to go in there and win without him.
So he is currently listed as active, and he did play on Monday.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Atlanta. So I would assume you're going to get at least some Embiid here.
Okay, I'm still going to go with Cleveland. I think they're the better team. Did you say the over/under 210?
210.5, yeah.
It's pretty low for an NBA game, so you might think about the over. Because think about it, 106, 105, you've won, and that's not a lot of points for an NBA team. So that might be something to look at too. Should be a good one.
76ers can play under games, but I would tend to agree with you here. A Cavs team that has a good defense, but I would expect to put some points up. You might want to lean over here. Aaron, what are your thoughts here on this Cavs 76ers game?
Philadelphia and Cleveland, two tough cities, right? Toughness. That's what this game's going to be about, and it's going to be very boring. I'm not going to watch a second of it. Who's getting the points? Philly's getting the points?
Philly plus 3.5.
Philly plus 3.5. You can't go wrong tonight.
Not so fast, my friend. Cavs minus 3.5. You can't go wrong tonight. That's how we're going. That's how we're doing this. All right, let's head over to our race of the day. Took a little digging, not gonna lie, to find a race of the day today here. But we're headed to Turfway Park, race number 7. We've got a $25,000 optional N1X here, going 6.5 furlongs over the synthetic. Your favorite in here, Shannon, who broke her maiden. I actually saw her break her maiden at a massive price at Keeneland the Friday before the Keeneland Grade 1 gamble there. 9-5 on the morning line here, Aaron, in a race that I think is pretty wide open. Did you go with Shannon on top, or did you get creative?
It's not wide open because Shannon's in here. Shannon's going to dominate. We're going to get the pace set up. We're going to stock this pace. Listen, this horse has been running at Keeneland and Kentucky Downs and tough races. Now we're getting to Turfway. If she takes to this surface, she's going to be tough. I really like Shannon a lot today. I think this is, listen, Turfway is the king of like 80-1, 30-1, 3-5, 30-1, making up the pick 4. I think this is your 3-5 that's going to win. This is what I'm going to hook mine around. I think Shannon gets it done in this spot. Like I said, got to take to the surface, but you look at the speed figures, you look at, who this horse has been facing. I think this is a class drop for her tonight.
She also switches from Giroux to Lindero. So one of the few times you can drop off with Giroux and have a negative jockey change here. But what can you do there? I agree with you. The surface is the main issue. And those two workouts are slower over the synthetic than anything over the dirt. I'm worried she doesn't take it to it. I'm not willing to play a short price here. Papa Dude, I'm going to get creative. I'm going to go to her inside. Give me the 6 horse. Do You Love Me here? First time out of the Doug Danner barn. 24% on synthetic, $3.17 ROI. Back-to-back winner. This 4-year-old's improving. Going to sit a nice trip because I agree with Aaron. I think there's enough pace in here that you do want to become from that right in the middle pack there. So give me the 6 horse. Do You Love Me at 12-1. Papa Dude, who you like here? Turfway race 7.
None of them.
I wasn't sure you'd even look at this race when
I looked at it and said, okay, who's the best of the mediocres? That's the thing. That's the way I looked at it. So I'll go with you. That's why you call them the bombs. This is a bomb, and a bomb may win this thing because Shannon, it's okay, not great. So when you got not great, anything can happen. So good pick. I didn't see Do You Love Me on there.
I'll go out on a limb. I'm going to make a guarantee right now. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
I guarantee you Do You Love Me does not win tonight. I guarantee it.
Okay, I will not pick it then. How about Rockstar parking.
I guarantee you the 6 will not win the race tonight.
When I looked at
do I get a free bottle of tequila for 6 wins?
Yes. And if
Yes.
it doesn't, you give me one.
little
No,
instant bet there.
I get 12 bottles for every one. Then I get the off odds bottles for one.
And that is why Jason just ruined my fun. Do you
Oh,
love me?
do you love
Scratch?
scraps?
No.
Oh my gosh! Did anybody look at Rockstar
Damn
Park?
it, Jason.
Now I gotta go pick another horse.
Did anybody look at Rockstar Parking?
All right, let's talk a little Rockstar Parking.
When I first saw that, I thought it said Rockstar Puking, which would have been a much better name.
I don't know. I mean, Rockstar Parking we've definitely used around the circles in Los Angeles because if you get a good parking spot, man, it matters because it is tough to get one there.
Okay, so that's where the name comes from. I get
Compared
it.
to the middle of nowhere or Missouri, where I'm sure it's not very hard to park outside your local establishment if you're trying to go get a couple cocktails. I did not really look at Rockstar Parking. Gonna be the first time touching synthetic, second time touching turf. Aaron, any interest in the 12?
No.
That's a no. That's a hard no.
Got it.
The 4, Sophia Strong. If anyone takes this field gate to wire, I think it's the 4 horse who should get a lead out there. Going to need to improve to be able to do it. But has the race at Turfway Park going 6 furlongs all the way back breaking the maiden, although it was against shitty horses, where it looked pretty good there as well. So interesting price there. Any other horses in here, Aaron, that you thought of, or is this all about Shannon?
I thought the number 5 Intrigue was a little bit interesting as well. It's just Mike Maker. It does pretty darn well at Turfway Park. He's one you can kind of count on. He got his top jockey for Turfway at least on tonight. And horse broke the maiden going a mile at Kentucky Downs. That's not easy to do. Irad Ortiz jumped aboard that race. Then they tried Allowance Company next time out at Keeneland over the turf, which is logical. That's what you would do after breaking your maiden at Kentucky Downs. And horse was horrific. She was really bad. Maybe synthetic, maybe a little bit of cutback here is going to help. I like Maker. I think we'll get every bit of that 4-1. So I've got a little bit of interest in the 5.
And don't forget Turfway Park here, late start. I think it's 5 p.m. is first post, 5 p.m. Central, something like that. So you got late racing there. Gulfstream Park turf course back at it. Aaron, did you see how beautiful that turf course looks?
Oh, I'm so excited. We actually have a nice turf course that's not in Naira. Well, Naira's gone now because it's Aqueduct, but it looked beautiful. So I can't wait for Gulfstream Park.
You got to give them a hat tip here because they took so much shit for that synthetic course. And now we're a year past all that stuff. It just phenomenal management job there because now you have a synthetic course that's fair and cut in. You have a turf course that is gorgeous and going to be great for the championships meet. We no longer can make fun of them for Durf.
Listen, everybody loves to hate on Gulfstream, and it's crazy every year. I think it's one of the best tracks in the country. This is why they did the synthetic, because their turf was awful, because it had too much racing on it. They raced too much. Now it's beautiful. It'll be interesting, Somich, won't it, to see if Chad Brown runs more horses at Gulfstream this year on that turf course.
100% he will. And they're going to continue what they did last year, where it's, hey, we're going to have our N1X and our high-cost allowances on the turf. We're going to have our shitty claimers on the synthetic. And that's how we're going to save our turf course. And you know what? And now we can run one race on the turf a day if it rains and take everything else off. It's very, very smart plan. You'd hope other tracks look at this because we know there's some other tracks struggling with how to get a turf course. And maybe this is the solution, guys. Just throwing it out there.
Fairgrounds?
I don't know. I'm not going to name names. I'm just throwing it out there.
The fairgrounds thing is just
it's atrocious.
Really bad because that's where the horses in the Midwest or Southwest, whatever you want to call it, that's where they have to run on the turf. There's no other options for them. That's rough. I feel terrible for those people down there at Fairgrounds that have shipped horses there just because, hey, we're not going to Oaklawn. They have a dirt course. Well, let's go to Fairgrounds. And now we can't even run a race there. It's awful. Anyway,
it's going to be interesting to see if you see more trainers head down to Gulfstream Park, just because you now have these turf courses. And getting stables is going to be difficult, though, because you know that a lot of those are already taken.
Yep.
All right, let's head to the best bets of the day. I'm going to literally kick this off. I'm going to head over to the pitch and play a World Cup moneyline parlay. Not a big World Cup bettor, but one thing I do love about the knockout stage, about the group stage in the World Cup is that the last game of each group, the last 2 games go off at the exact same time. So both of these games start at 2:00. And in this situation, both Argentina and Mexico, who are the best 2 teams in the group, have to win to advance. I like those type of situations where you have to win. You cannot draw. You've got to win the game. If you put these two money lines together, you get plus 137 today. I think both of them move on. Argentina has the tougher game, but they're the better team. Mexico has the easier game and needs to win by at least 2 or 3 to move on. So you're going to see this Mexico side push. I think they're going to be able to get at least 1, if not 2 early and make that pretty much a coast. I think Argentina is going to win as well. Give me plus 137 on the 2 best teams in the group that both have to win today at 2 o'clock. Papa Dude, who do you like more, Mexico or Argentina?
Argentina all the way.
I love it. Aaron, name 1 player on both these teams.
I can't. I can't. I couldn't name one player on our team.
No, me neither.
You got Messi. Messi's on Argentina. That's the easy one for future reference.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
Never heard of that name in my life.
I thought he played for Brazil.
That would be Neymar probably. But anyway, let's move along here. We got you guys are both playing the Maple Leafs in the money line parlay. So Papa Dude, I'll let you kick us off here. You're going to team up with the Clippers. Tell us about it.
All right. I can't say win these parlays, even though I don't ever get one. But anyway, sometimes I do. What I like to do is play one that's logical and then find one that is pretty easy and hopefully connects so we get a price. And that's what I did today. You got the Clippers plus 7.5 tonight. I got them at 7.5 and the line's going down. That's a good sign for me. I like that. It's 6.5 the last time I looked. So the Clippers plus 7.5 at Utah. The Clippers are the better team. Yes, they are injured, but they've been winning games without these guys. And Utah's mired in a terrible slump, which we thought they were going to do. Now, they may win this game, but I don't think they can cover 7.5. So that's one that's a logical bet. You can logically lock that into your mind and say, hey, I think I'm going to get that. It's questionable, but I think I can get it. Then we've got one that I think it should happen. It's on the ice. You got the Maple Leafs against the Sharks. The Sharks played last night. They played great. Can they do it 2 nights in a row against a very good Toronto team that's playing really well right now? So I like that one. We're getting it at plus 153. You can't beat that for 2 games. That ought to come in. They should. We'll see what happens. My obscure bet of the day, just for fun, real quick, in college basketball, the Drexel Dragons, yes, right, the Drexel Dragons from Philadelphia play the Lafayette Leopards. How about that? Can you think of any team that's the Leopards? I don't think so. I think a dragon can slay a leopard. So that's my pick. Lock it in. Drexel over Lafayette tonight on the hardwoods.
Yeah, it seems like they choose like bobcats or bearcats or some other
Not a leopard.
Not leopard. Leopard is not usually the choice there if you're looking for a cat mascot. All right, Aaron, take us back to sanity here. Tell us about this Oilers Leafs parlay.
Yeah, so we both are going to hook in to the Leafs tonight, and
yes.
The biggest problem with this one is the Sharks did play really well, but they're still the Sharks. And the good news is the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing a lot better lately. So getting back home from a long road trip, I think the Maple Leafs will play well tonight and win. Sometimes when you see this, though, when teams return from long road trips, it might be a little bit closer than you think. It may be a 3-2 or a 4-3 type of win. So that's why I didn't go with the Leafs minus 1.5. Went ahead and just paired them up with the Oilers tonight going into Chicago. Simply put, Chicago's probably the worst team in the NHL. I mean, they've lost 7 in a row. They had a decent start, but the wheels have come flying off. I don't know. The Oilers are really good. The Oilers can put the puck in the net. Chicago having trouble keeping people from scoring. This looks like a disaster for Chicago tonight. So I thought the Oilers would be really tough to beat tonight for the Blackhawks. And like I said, the Maple Leafs just playing really, really well against the Sharks team that played well, like Papa Dude said last night. Don't know if they can do it 2 nights in a row. I think the Leafs and the Oilers, you're getting even money on it. I thought that was good enough tonight. It's a tough slate in the NHL, only 4 games. I think this is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah, the NHL and NBA slate's not wonderful tonight. One of the main reasons we talked about some college basketball earlier on in the show, where it's going to be a lot of fun from that matchup. Make sure you join us all week here. We'll be back Thursday through Sunday, noon Eastern, for more Dudes Who Bet Daily. Let's flip through our best bets real quick before we sign off here. Papa Dude taking the Clippers plus 7.5 and the Leafs money line plus 153. Aaron taking the Leafs and the Oilers money line plus 100. I'm going to go to the pitch and take Argentina and Mexico both to win today at 2 o'clock plus 137. For the year, we're up $28. You can go buy a couple hamburgers with that. That's about it, though. So hopefully we can make it a little bit better this week. Thank you very much for joining us. Good luck with whatever you are betting today, and we will see you again tomorrow.